Hello and welcome to another edition of Website Redesign Critiques. My name is Justin Rondeau and I'm the Director of Optimization at Digital Marketer. And today we're going to be looking at some of my favorite types of pages, the sign up page. This is the page that does it all. This is where, you either get them or you lose them, right? So I'm going to use one of my favorite types of pages to optimize on because it's the lowest hanging fruit, and one of my favorite companies, Spotify. All right, so as you can see on the page here, it is very, very bare bones. But for people who are new to this, let me go through quickly how I score this up. There are five main criteria I take a look at. It is clarity, readability, appearance, on-site experience, and navigation. All right, I will award a point to the variant that does this better, and I will tally it up the end to see, whether they're going in the right direction, or they might need to take that song off their playlist. All right, so let's take a look and see what's going on here. I'm going to show you both pages, and then I will kind of dig into the nitty gritty. So here is the sign up page, just Spotify logo dead center. Sign up with Facebook or sign up with your email address, and you fill in all that other information. Okay, so username, you create that. They're not really giving you information about it. Password, email, etc. Okay. Here we get to see the Get Started with Spotify. You sign up with your email or sign up with Facebook. You click Sign up to email. You go down here. All right, email, confirm email, password, username, date of birth. So not only do they make some changes to the experience here, but they also change how fields are shown. So actually, let's take a look at that. Username, password, email, confirm email. And they only go male or female, whereas now they have male, female, non-binary, and then they go from email, confirm email, password, username. Okay, so let's start digging in here because there's not a whole lot to talk about here in terms of design changes. In terms of clarity, you have who the company is and what to do next. Sign up with Facebook or sign up with your email address. Here you get into the same where get started with Spotify, sign up with your email, sign up with Facebook. I honestly this is a tight one. I like the use of buttons to choose what you want to do next. I also like how they're saying get started with Spotify. They don't really say anything here. They're not addressing the previous step. Likely when they clicked a button before, it was yes, I would like to sign up. So now they can get started with it. They can also use this as a standard squeeze page here rather than just a standalone sign up page. So in terms of clarity, I think adding in that get started and then focusing on a binary decision of I want to do it this way or I want to do it this way. They don't even give you the chance to say no. I really, really like how they did this here. So the new variant is going to get a point here. Okay, so let's talk about readability. And in this one, I'm going to add into readability, I'm going to talk about kind of the form layout here. So let's go back to the older variant here. You get in. If you don't want to sign up with Facebook, then you're going to immediately start working on your email address. And I think what the new variation does well is it doesn't make you get away from the decision of, do I want to sign up? They avoid that portion completely by asking you to make a selection. You choose email or Facebook, and then by choosing email, it brings you down into a section where you fill in information. So it's like you turn someone from a passive to an active user for where they to only sign up with email. Whereas if they were to sign up with Facebook, they're now an active participant, but you haven't primed them well enough yet in here. So now let's also take a look at the form fields themselves. Username, password, email, confirm email, date of birth, male, female, kind of more information there, right? It's interesting to start with username for them to create. In a lot of cases, that might be something they want to save for a secondary action. Whereas here, you get into email, confirm email, which, okay, I don't think they really need to use there. Password, username. In any case, username just kind of shows up, right? It's just kind of like, hey, I'm here, make something up for me yet. Username just feels awkward. I know you need to have that for Spotify, but it just feels like they aren't integrating it well here. I think if anything, they might do it a little better on the previous version, because just sticking it in between password and date of birth doesn't feel a whole feel all that great. They also have a captcha here, and captchas are really kind of like putting the burden on the consumer to prove that they're real, whereas that should be on the side of the company. Also, captchas when they have weird photos. I saw one the other day that was distinguishing between six photos. I'm not kidding here. Six photos of male nipples and trying to pick out Arnold Schwarzenegger's. I am not kidding about this. It was ridiculous. So captchas also can hurt your brand because it's not on brand, and you're saying, you know what, you tell me if you're real. That should be on you to figure out in your back end there. So I actually prefer the form, just the form proper for the previous version, but I do like kind of the layout and kind of the binary option that they create there on the other one. So this one's actually really, really tough to do. I'm just going to give, for pure form readability, I'm going to give it to the old variant. So right now it is 1-to-1. All right, now let's move into appearance. Hands down, I think the new variation has that. I think you have, with clarity and appearance, they're kind of working together and using button actions to get the person involved on the page versus seeing this option for sign up with Facebook and then also kind of then seeing the form right away. I think they do a good job there in terms of appearance. So the newer variation is going to get the point there. That is a nice little piece there. The one thing that I would be worried about, and this might come into on-site experience, is that if people are expecting to see a form right away, you might want to give it to them. If this was just a pure landing page, that actually might be a little bit better. But as a sign-up page, I think the on-site experience actually has a bit of a problem here. So it looks better, and I like the idea of the option, but purely as a sign-up page, I think it hurts the experience. I also think the experience is hurt by the CAPTCHA. The CAPTCHA is one surefire way to ruin an experience. And furthermore, I feel like the readability in terms of the form itself feels a little awkward in terms of how they're placing where username exists. So I was initially going to make this a wash between the two, but I do like how the original variation is a standard form that people would expect to see when they click to sign up for something rather than another option that's almost like a weird microsite. So, I mean, this is just purely from the standpoint of somebody that's coming to the page from a previous action. Again, if this was on the landing page side of things, definitely the new variant would win. But the original variation is going to get a point here. So we are on a dead heat at this point, and navigation on a sign-up page, well, there is none, right? This is actually going to have to be a wash because this is a sign-up page where if they either had navigation, they'd lose. So that is 0 points there. So we actually have a 2-2 tie between them. I think that you could make you can make a case for each page being kind of superior here, as I was doing earlier with this is what a person would expect to see versus kind of more options. But having more options and making them an active participant is a great way to get them to complete the sign up, especially if they're signing up via email and not Facebook. So, man, this one's tough, and I know Spotify is always experimenting, always trying out some new ideas. So I'm sure this won't remain the case for probably more than a week. So if you're at Spotify, just know I am loving what you guys do. It's really cool to see what you're coming up with, and both variants are great. I think what this comes down to is just the user intention, and where you'd really be able to make a splash here is by mapping where they're coming from and showing them a different experience based on that. So I hate leaving things at a draw, but that is the conclusion for this one. I think it's our first draw, actually. We don't run into these too much. So again, thank you for joining me on this edition of Website Redesign Critiques. I'm Justin Rondeau, and I hope to see you again.